Getting a job at the boss's desk, the girl saw a photo of her mother in a dark frame. Nastya lives with her mother, Elena, and she never knows her father because she has never seen him before. All that she knows about him is that he left her mother a month before her birth and did not appear after that. The young woman very much wanted to see him when she was young, but that did not happen, so she forgot about him over time. Elena tries to play the role of mother and father together in order to protect her daughter, as she works all the time to earn money and fulfill her beloved daughter's needs. The woman used to live in Moscow, but decided to move to a small, quiet village 200 kilometers from the capital. All the neighbors were surprised when they learned that Nastya, who is currently 30, has not yet married, although she is a beautiful, intelligent young woman with a university degree. Many young people tried to reach her, including the tractor driver, Igor, but she did not accept them for unknown reasons, which she knows only. Elena is a very strict woman, and she does not hesitate to talk and blame others when she sees that they're doing inappropriate things. She does not care about their reaction and does not fear anyone. As for her treatment of Nastya, it's not much different from the others, as she blames her for all her mistakes and always blames her for little things. Since Nastya knows that her mother is kind and loves everyone, she tries to remain calm and not respond to her words. In addition, when she notices that her mother has been overly criticizing and blaming her, she goes to her best friend Lisa, who lives on the other side of the village, to sit with her and try to improve her mood. Lisa's father is a rich man with many projects in the city, so the young woman does not have to work. She stays at home and gets everything she wants. On her way to Lisa's house, Nastya met the young man Igor, who loves her and wants to marry her. The young man got out of his car and called her to ride with him to drive her to her friend's house. But it was his misfortune that the car broke down immediately after he started in it. Then he was ashamed and tried to fix it, but that didn't work. The young woman continued walking until she reached her friend's house. When she arrived at her friend's, the girl welcomed her and they sat with tea drinking. Lisa offered Nastya to move to the city because the village would not provide her with anything, as she told her that she had reached the age of 30 and that she had to build her life. Nastya told her friend that there are two obstacles standing in her way. The first is her mother, who sometimes suffers from heart problems, so she tries to stay close to her, all she takes care of. The second is that she has no money and no housing in Moscow. Lisa kept thinking a little, and then Natasha said that her father had rented a small apartment in Moscow for her to live in because she decided to study a master's degree in economics there, and that she can stay with her at that apartment until she finds a job. As for her mother, she will stay in contact with her by phone, and she can come to visit her when necessary because Moscow is not that far away. Nastya thought about her friend's words and began to be encouraged to travel to the city, as she realizes that she must start thinking about her future, and her life in that small isolated village will not change anything in her life. When she reached the place where she left the young man Igor with his broken down car, she found that he was still there and his clothes were dirty, but he did not succeed in repairing them. Then she approached him and offered to help him, as they pushed it until they got it to Igor's house. Igor had been following Nastya since she was in high school. He studied with her in the same department, but he stopped in the 10th grade while she continued her studies. She respects him, sees him as a diligent man, and realizes well that he loves her and is ready to do anything to win her heart, but he does not fulfill her ambitions, and she will never imagine that she will become his wife. When Nastya got home, she found her mother waiting in her kitchen, and then she told her that she wanted to travel to Moscow in order to find work there. She also told her that her friend Lisa was renting an apartment there and had promised her that she would be allowed to stay with her until she was able to find a place to stay. The mother was shocked by her daughter's words and told her that she could not travel to Moscow because the city is full of bad people and thieves, and it's crowded and you will not find comfort there. Elena was strict in her words and insisted on preventing her daughter from traveling and told her that she would not let her enter her home again if she traveled. Nastya was very disappointed after hearing her mother's words, but she was well aware that she had to make a bold step in her life, because her affection for her mother and her obedience to her orders is what led her to where she is now. She completely forgot herself and remained in that narrow space in a small village, to the point where she never thought of going out for shopping or touring the city, where she spent her whole life carrying out her mother's orders. However, it seems time to stop this and start making some dreams come true before it's too late. The young woman continued working in the small store in the village and was saving Jamil the money she earned from there. And when she noticed that the amount was enough for her to travel and spend at least 2 months there in Moscow, she went to her friend Lisa and told her that she was ready to travel. Lisa told Nastya that she would travel with her father in his car to Moscow that night, and that she could come with them. Then the young woman went to her house and stayed there until her mother slept, then collected her things and left a letter for her mother, telling her that she had traveled to Moscow, and then immediately left for Lisa's house and rode with her in her father's car and left for Moscow. When Elena got up in the morning, she fed the livestock and kept doing some work at home, but she noticed that her daughter did not wake up yet. Then she went to her room to wake her up, and there she found the room empty. The woman immediately realized that her daughter had emigrated, and she made sure of this when she read the paper she had found on the table. She shed tears at first, but knew that one day it would happen. She realized that forcing her daughter to stay with her by love and fear for her because she has no one else in the world. But she also realizes that she has her own life, and that she has the right to achieve her aspirations in life. So she smiled at the end and wished her success in her life and left to complete her work. When Nastya arrived in the city, she immediately started looking for a job, as her friend used to go out in the morning, go to study, and then go to work in the evening. In front of her father, he would rarely enter the apartment because he was busy with his business in the city. The young woman took a newspaper with several job offers written on it and started calling them. Finally, she got an interview dates and began preparing herself for those interviews, hoping that she would win the job that would change her life. Nastya did not succeed in those interviews because she lacked experience, so she turned to restaurants and cafes and kept looking. While the young woman was returning to Lisa's apartment after a hard day of searching, she found an advertisement written on a wall in which the owner asked for a flower seller, and experience was not required, of all kinds. The young woman was waiting, and when the secretary called her, she went into the manager's office, and there she found a bald man studying some of the files. The man asked her to sit down and asked her to show him the residence card. But Nastya did not have it then. The man apologized and told her that he could not employ people without having that card. The young woman kept begging him because she needed to work. Then the man looked at her and kept checking her and told her that he would employ her because she reminded him of someone important to him. The man asked Nastya to come forward from his books in order to sign some documents, and when the young woman finished signing, she was surprised when she saw a picture of her mother when she was young on the man's desk. The young woman asked the manager what her mother's picture was doing to him, but the man smiled and told her that the photo belonged to his wife, who died 30 years ago, and the young woman insisted that the one in the picture was her mother. The man got angry and asked her to leave his office immediately. The young woman returned the next day and tried to convince the man that the person in the picture was her mother, and she was surprised when she found him waiting for her. The young woman asked the man to tell her his story with that woman and kept listening to what he said. The man said that he loved his wife, but her mother prevented him from approaching her, so he married her secretly. But she died in a bus overturning accident with her and her young, which made him keep her image because he remained loyal to her. Nastya told the man that she is his daughter and that his wife is still alive, and that he can make sure of that if he accompanies her to the village in which she lives. Then the man was surprised by her words and decided to accompany her to the village in his car. When they got home, they found Elena there. The man immediately approached her and called her by name, while the mother was shocked and kept looking. Then they burst into tears and hugged each other while Nastya was watching them. When Nikolai asked the woman how she escaped death because her mother told him that she had died and the fetus in her womb, Elena said she did not die, and it was her mother who deliberately lied in order to get away from her. She also called her and told her that the man had abandoned her. She felt very sad and decided to travel to this small isolated village and gave birth to her daughter and stayed with her. Nikolai confessed to his wife that he refused to marry because he bare another woman. Then he and his daughter took her with him to his car and moved to live in Moscow in his big house, while he took Nastya to work in his specialized company in Rose's production.